Hey folks, this is Brian. We got to play Elderath. Well, it's now 12:09 or 12:13, so it was last night. Earlier, right? So we interesting twists of things happened at the end of the session. But let me pull up my notes real quick. And come on, minimize. Here we go. Roll that over. Oops. There we go. That's not what he wanted to do. But anyway, it is year 684 of the Lords of Bloodstone, which is year 28 of the Lady Tamara's reign, which is also year 7 of the Zodiac Grailius, which is the year of fasting or of vows and initiations. It is month 4, which is Lord Vane, which is the summer. Week 3, day 2, which is called Kron. So, back to the ambush. So, neither Runt nor Alexander were able to find out where that last guy went. It turns out that the guy that Wes had put to sleep a couple times has expired. While we were all discussing on what to do next kind of stuff. All in all, the 3 bodies, they had 23 copper on them. Poor clothing. They had their bows. They had these short swords, which were bronze, meaning they're poor, right? They didn't have modern weapons. They were using older metalsmithing. So we build a travoid, take the bodies back towards the inn, look for local authorities. We can turn them in, explain what happened, all that good stuff. But as we're going back, we run into a hunter. This guy's name is the Crow. We learn that later on during this verbal back and forth that goes on, but he recognizes our guys, and there's some what have you guys been hunting? It's not hunting, it's just a failure to recognize ignorance. That's right, is a result of ignorance. They attempted to get us, and they bit on more than they could chew. So but then he tells us that he's going to go ahead to the inn and let people know what's going on and to expect us. So we get down there. He also tells us, we kind of mentioned that we're at the villa being rebuilt for the vineyards kind of thing. Says to avoid the bog to the north at night. And so there's a little sidebar. Oh, which reminds me, live playing description. A little sidebar discussion about, big red arrow. We need to go to the bog now. That's what we need to do next. But anyway, we get back to the inn that night. We're invited in. They give us drinks and, hey, we won those whisker snappers. And these old timers, right? And these guys have got scars. These guys haven't seen battle before. So they know what's going on. So we spend that evening with them, and then that night. So next day we head back out. No encounters as we reach the area where we camped at the previous night. And so, we camp there again. The next day we head out, and there's a fork in the road, and our direction said head north, not the other direction, which I didn't catch which that was. So we go north. And as we go further along the road, we can look back, and we can see the bay and Kars and the fjord later on as more toward the northwest, and there's mountains to the west that separate us from Forg's kingdom, and that's where we're going. We're looking for a pass, and we go on into the pass. So we're traveling. The next day, we're traveling through the pass, and Raymond spots on the north side of the pass a large winged serpentine creature. He asks if it looks like that black dragon we saw before, and says, no, nothing like that, but it might be that size. So we continue on, but really slowly, and it was kind of interesting because I've been trying to incorporate more trait rolls into the way I play Wes, and he misses Valorous roll, so he was, we gotta stay away from this thing. So if they convince him, we're gonna be going through the pass, and so because Wes was saying, hey, let's just go back out, come back in tomorrow, see if he's gone, kind of thing. But no, they say, let's go. So okay, we'll go, but very, very slowly, right? Oh, and as we go along, we see some mountain goats, and Alexander moves up and then sneaks up and then sneaks up, and he shoots one of them. Got a special success. So okay, we got us a dead mountain goat, but it makes it bleed out. He tries to shoot another one as they all scatter. Is not successful. But then this winged serpentine thing comes flying over to get to get the dead goat. And I made the roll for Wes, and he could care less about the dragon at this point. we need that food, right? Wes is kind of going through an existential situation here where back in Telgar, he's rich. Doesn't worry about money. We don't even keep track of coinage with Wes. He's throwing out tips left and right, and he takes care of all of his business and stuff, and it's all just kind of, yeah, that's taken care of. Yeah, that's taken care of. Doesn't track any money issues because he's got all the money he could possibly need. There was some concern about it maybe getting out of his control and into the party, and I and the GM had discussed that. Okay, yeah, no, I'm not buying stuff for the party, that kind of thing. Don't worry about it. But for Wes, he said he doesn't need to worry about that kind of thing. But all of a sudden now, he's got no money, and they're trying to get this villa up and running, and that takes money, and he's just is in a world he's never experienced before. So part of this thing is food, right? They had to pay money to buy rations. And there's a goat there. That's a lot of food. That can last us for a while. So shoot it. And the dragon's coming out. Shoot the dragon. Don't let him take the goat. And Alexander shoots the dragon. I think he actually hit it. But that got his attention. So the dragon's attacking Alexander. So we all start running up the mountainside towards him. And we're taking double fatigue as we're running up the mountain. It should have been triple. But anyway. A rural situation that had not really been discussed with the party, and so when we had to actually touch into it a little bit, it kind of got really messy, and so that's probably something we should discuss in a session. This is how fatigue works. This is how encumbrance works. Count it all up, that kind of stuff. But it's going to take us 4 rounds to catch up to Alexander, and when we get up there, Alexander's been being attacked twice around by this thing, and he's making some dodges and some parries and stuff, but he still gets nailed a couple of times. And it's his abdomen, I think, that goes negative. He takes double damage plus in his abdomen, so he goes to negative double that number thing, right? So he's unconscious. That's the net result, is he's unconscious from that and bleeding 1 point per round. We do a little retcon there, because when we got up there, we would have been in range for Wes to shoot off he's got a Lord Sleep is what he's planning on doing to this dragon. It's not really a dragon, it's a wyvern, I think. But anyway, the players don't know that. The characters don't know that. So Spill goes off on strike rank 4. If he's moving for 8, 4 is 12. So at the end of the round, he gets up there. He's within range. He could do it. He failed that roll. So the next round, strike rank 4, he nails it again. But during that round, the dragon is taking his new prey and taking off. Well, while it's trying to take off, Raymond is there. Runt is there. Raymond grabs a hold of Alexander, trying to hold on to him. And all this extra weight then is enough to keep the wyvern from being able to just take off, right? And then Runt tries to throw a rope over Alexander, then try to hold on both ends to hold that much more weight down on the wyvern, so the wyvern just lets go of him, kind of thing. But he failed that roll. I missed what happened with that, but it got failed. So the wyvern whap whap, and then it's just cruised down the ravine. He's still in range. At strike rank 4, so Wes throws up that Lord Sleep again. But the dragon's got magic resistance, and so the spell, while it was successful, was resisted. While that's going on, Raymond is doing a heal spell on Alexander, because they're both in claws now, right? Alexander's healed up, so he's conscious now. He pulls out his dagger and starts stabbing at the wyvern's foot to get them let go, and is successful. And the wyvern drops them. They fall. They take damage. I don't remember how much damage and that kind of thing, but the GM is trying to make a decision for the wyvern. What's it going to do? What's it going to do? What's it going to do? But the wyvern didn't like having magic thrown at it, so it decides that better safe than sorry. Takes off. We get down to Raymond and Wes, do a first aid, that kind of stuff. They start healing, get everybody up. We trudge back up to the mountain, get our stuff, get the goat. Find an overhang somewhere that's safe, build a fire, barbecue goat. Okay, that was all a fun time. It got scary. It was scary there a couple times. Oh, let's see. Next day, no encounters. We get over the pass, and there's a lake with a river running out of it. And the village is supposed to be by the lake. And looking down, we can see the plains to the north. As we're making our way down out of the pass, about midday the next day, we should reach the village. So we camp that night while Wes is on guard or watch. He hears movement, so he wakes up Raymond. Raymond doesn't hear anything, and so Wes is trying to tell him, "Hey, there's noise out there, like something's coming by." And then something happens. We're able to make another listen roll. At that point, Raymond critted his listen roll, so he can hear to the south, about 200 feet away, what sounds like goblin speak, and that what is obviously a column of some buddies marching. And he makes a guess of more than 10, less than 50 kind of thing, or less than 20. So he's kind of guessing around 15ish, right? So Raymond wakes up, or Alexander, get the boat guy out, and then so Wes wakes up front, so we're all awake, and we kind of set up an ambush just in case. Nobody's gonna be moving though, because none of us can sneak. And we're watching as these goblins are marching past, waiting to, if they spot us, ambush coming out, right? But they don't. We continue on. Next day, we're off to the village. About a mile out, we've seen some signs of habitation. Remains of farms, fields that have been burned, some time ago. Further in, more farm fields that are burned on both sides. Some burned out houses. We get to the outskirts of town, and and we can smell the scent of burnt wood. Not like it's current or recent, but just because stuff happens, the ashes get up in the air and you get that smell, right? Get to the village, it is ruined. We start looking for our landmark structure, and as we approach, there's this bridge that crosses the river. There are poles stuck into the road, hung with human bodies. So we take them down, and as we're gathering up bodies and wood to make a pyre, we're doing a cursory search of the town. While that's going on, Raymond spots movement down an alley, and he goes further into there, and there's just growling sounds, so he backs out. And while we're gathering up stuff, Runt thinks he found the structure that's part of our directions on where to find this treasure. And then Raymond also wants to make note of where the inn is, because he wants to check the inn out specifically. So, make a pyre, burn all the bodies. We go back out just on the outskirts of town. There's that burned out house, and that's where we make our camp for that night. Next day, we go back in. There's that alley. We go in. We don't go in. We go to the alley. It's daytime, right, and everything, so we can see well. And it's a dog, and he's right next to a body. It's got arrows in the back. And Alexander goes forward, tries to make friends with it, calm it down, that kind of thing. Gives him some food. He eventually does calm him down a bit and is able to feed him some. And then Wes casts sleep on the dog, so that Raymond can get the body, and we can do last rites and get it buried properly, that kind of thing. While that's going on, Alexander takes the dog and goes to that building that is our structure point for our treasure hunt. And just lays there with the dog while it sleeps. So from there, we follow the directions, get to the spot, dig here. So we start digging. Eventually, we come across wood, dig some more, spread it out, open it up, and it's not a chest. It's like a door in the ground. So we dig some more around, get it open, pop it open. It's like a what's the word? Shoot, but those wooden doors to go to a cellar kind of thing, right? Cellar, maybe that's the thing of the cellar doors, right? But I don't think they're at an angle. I think they're actually just flat in the ground. But anyway, because they're buried, right? So we open it up, look around inside, turn the flashlight on. Let's see. There are wooden steps going down. There are barrels, a storage room of some kind. And it extends to underneath the inn. In fact, there's some stairs on the far end that go up to where the inn would be, but there's a bunch of stuff in the inn, walls and stuff that's all covered over the entrance would be. Runt crits his search roll, and there is a barrel that's sunken halfway up in the wall. And notice that the spigot is at an odd angle. There's a seam at the bottom of the barrel, which if it was really a barrel, that it would be leaking out stuff, right? So he goes over there and they open it up and reveals a hallway. So we, climb in, go through for a while. Then there's this chamber. It opens up to 10 by 20. There's a couple of cots. There's some empty weapons racks. There's evidence of occupation here and a door. Beyond that door is another hallway. So we searched the room, and Wes got a critical success on that search. And so underneath one of the cots was a trap door with a ladder going down to a landing. Get down, there's another chamber, 20 by 20. And in this chamber, it's a shrine to Lorath. Now, the aquatic Lorath that's local to this area. And in the altar, there's a compartment. We open it up, and there's all kinds of stuff in there. There's a scale hauberk that's got these, wavy patterns. Not embroidered, it's just the way it's designed, right? It's got this wavy pattern. There's a battle axe with a spike and a hook, and it's got also a water motif, again, with the blade having this wave pattern on the edge. There's a ring with a pearl, there's a scroll, there's a book. Both are in Norse. Well, actually, no, the book is in Norse. It's a collection of prayers to Lorath. It's Lorathian prayers, there we go. But the scroll is actually a map, and it shows a city with a bay and a coastline that looks like Karst to us. Very old, a language we don't recognize, and there are certain locations marked on it to the north and to the west. There's also a helmet that matches the scale hauberk with, it's got these wavy patterns in it. The axe and the hauberk are of a similar quality, but I couldn't tell if they were steel or not, but the other stuff was obviously iron. Other stuff. That is all the stuff, right? The axe, the hauberk, and the helm. They're all the same. So we search around, and Raymond gets a special, I think it was, or a crit or whatever, but he finds a secret compartment, and inside is a coffer full of coins. A mixture of gold and silver, and I think copper coins. I wrote all three down. So we go back up and go through the other hallway. It eventually comes to a ladder that opens up to a stump that's northeast of town. It's the secret escape route. So we close everything down, restore everything the way it was, go back out, bury the doors, and head out to where Alexander was. He's not there. The dog had woken up, and Alexander gave him some water and some food and stuff, and then the dog, sniffing in the air, wandered off and ended up at the gravesite where his master was. Alexander tries to coax the dog off, but it's not. It's staying there. And he makes some animal lore rolls that, it's obvious that this dog has an unusually strong binding connection to his master, his previous master, right? Okay, so next day, we take off, heads towards the pass. We do see a griffin sitting out on a rock, watching things. We watch it. Next day, week 4, day 1, no encounters. There should be some more days in here. I'm going to have to go back and double check the time it took us to go out versus the time for us to go back. Because the GM was just speed rolling encounters. But we get to the villa, right? And the day after we get to the villa, one of the tenants is shooing off a mangy, almost dead dog. And Alexander freaks out and runs out to check on it. And sure enough, it is the dog from the village. So he feeds it and gives it water, and he makes a bed for it. And Wes and Runt both go into town. Runt goes to the temple, and Wes goes to the temple as well. But he's looking for Captain Krim because he wants to discuss, the stuff. He brings the ring in the book to show that, hey, we found stuff. And then there was some discussion, again in the live play, where we're talking about, okay, we as the party understood that this treasure was the ransom for rescuing these people. But when Captain Krim asked us to go and find the heirlooms, that actually implied something else, right? So I dug back in some of my previous notes and stuff trying to find it. Sure enough, there was, we caught 3 words. In return for rescue them, secret, treasure, ransom, that kind of thing. So Captain Krim takes Wes to go see the old man and his daughter and the girl. It mentions as they're going that some of the people wanted the old man prosecuted because he kidnapped the daughter-in-law, right? But the daughter-in-law argued against it, saying all this stuff that happened. They're happy that this is the only family that her daughter knows of, and that kind of good stuff. And so Wes gets there and says, "Hey, we found weapons and armor and this ring and this book and a scroll, a map of some kind." And the old man tells the daughter that, and Captain Krim does some translating because Wes's Norse is only like 38 or something. So anything that he misses, she makes up for. That if the armor was there, he was not able to get to it, so he, the son, is probably dead. And then she suggests that we should just give all the armor and weapons to these people. And the old man asks about anything else several times. Was there anything else? Was there anything else? And again, this Wes money issue going on, right? So Wes has a deceptive streak in him. It's a value of like 14. And I rolled, and it was below 14. I don't remember the number now, but yeah, he decided he was going to be deceitful and just right off. No, we didn't get them. We didn't find this coffer of money, which they had, and this. But we have the ring and the prayer book, and then the map, and you guys keep the map. It's an ancient language. We know what it means, and you guys keep the armor and weapons too. Like we have something we discussed already. Nobody needs or uses that kind of heavy armor or weapons. And so they truck back, and as they get back to the villa, it comes out that Wes did not tell the family about the coffer, and Raymond pings on Wes about that. And so there's this long, awkward, quiet pause as I am trying to think of what would Wes do, making some rolls on trades and stuff on and it came out. No, I didn't tell about it. Why'd you do such a thing? Well, because we need money for the villa, was his excuse. And so as this kind of frictional interaction is going on, I roll, okay, so what is Wes going to do as a result of all this? Because if word gets back to Captain Krim that Wes lied about this kind of stuff, he knows that relationship will be done. And he can't really, deal with that on top of all this stuff he's dealing with. And so I wasn't sure what trade I was going to roll on, but I rolled anyway, and I rolled a 20. It's a fumble. And so I decide, okay, I was thinking in the middle of the night, Wes is going to get up and just take off. Go north, be a highwayman, or maybe what he'd really like to do is if he could hook up with one of the hunter guys and just, hey, let me be an apprentice kind of thing. I need to do something because he can't survive by himself. He doesn't have survival skills, really. So that was his plan, take off north and do that kind of thing. The GM interpreted that a certain way because I was texting the GM saying, hey, he made his deceitful roll to explain why Wes is lying about not finding the coffer. And, hey, in the morning, Wes is gone. Heading north, that kind of thing. And so the GM is seeing this stuff as I'm typing it, after I type it out to him. He's going, oh, that's interesting. So he had pictured in his head that Wes was leaving in the morning. Not that in the morning when everybody wakes up, Wes is already gone. And so he's asking Runt, okay, what time is Runt getting back? And so Runt is Runt decides that he's going to go back to the villa, steal the coffer from us, take it back to the family, and take the blame for it. Hey, I stole the coffer. Here it is. Here you go. And the old man opens it up, and there's a false top to it or something, and he takes out a medallion. It has some Loranthian symbols on it, and some other symbols about vengeance and something else. That didn't seem right, but Raymond, or Runt rather, doesn't really know that much about it. And then he closes that up, and he takes out a couple of handfuls of coins and says, "This is more than enough for us. We're simple people. We don't have a lot of needs. Here, you can have the rest." And so Runt's got the thing back. And so there's discussion timing, right? So Runt, what time are you get? So Runt is figuring on getting back in the morning. And so the GM says, "Okay, Runt, as you're coming up the villa, you see Wes leaving." And he's got all of his gear and stuff. And so um, Runt calls out to Wes. Wes didn't hear him, but he had to make a scan roll too because he's waving. "Hey, Wes, what you doing?" So Wes stops and, "Okay, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?" And I make some rolls. And, okay, I'm caught. What are we gonna do? Let's find out what we're gonna do. And so Runt tells Wes what he had been doing. And so Wes realizes that Runt took the blame for all this. Maybe we can just kind of, sweep it underneath the carpet, and Captain Krim doesn't need to find out anything. But he forgot about the party, knowing everything. And so he kind of gives Runt a good squeeze and says, "Let's go and tell everybody what's going on." So they go inside, and then Runt's still trying to hide all the stuff that he had done a good thing, right? So he dumps the coins out of the coffer, and he's counting them because we have no idea how much money's in there. And so he's counting out the coins, and so this is how much we got, kind of thing. And Raymond comes out and sees Runt counting coins, and so he starts to interrogate Runt on what he's doing. "I'm counting the coins, how much we've got." "Oh, we're keeping this blood money," because Raymond is still thinking that we ended up lying to the family and keeping their money. 2020 hindsight, it can't be the family's money because it was it's probably the village's money is what it is, right? Not the family's money because it's kept at the shrine. But neither here nor there. So anyway, and Raymond makes a human lore roll, realizing that Runt was not doing something. So he figures that Runt did something, and he says, "Was the family taken care of?" And Runt kind of just doesn't answer. And so Raymond seems placated about the money issue. There's still the issue that Wes had lied, been deceitful about the money. And actually, when we ended the session, I was typing up the rest of my notes and stuff, trying to catch up to all the stuff that had happened. And the GM was still on Discord, and I had not logged off. Everybody else had. So you hear this. So on the live play, because I forgot to shut it down. You hear the GM, "Hey, you still there?" Oh yeah. So we have a little discussion there about making trait rolls, and maybe something from these trait rolls would affect one of his deception trait of either increasing it or decreasing it based upon the rolls he made. So that's something I'm going to think about. So if you get to the end, there's that long, dark, quiet, not talking space, and then there's a couple discussions in the back that's just me and the GM talking. Oh, let's see. Yeah, so there's still a disconnect between Raymond and Wes that needs to be reconciled in one way or another. But making those trait rolls, trying to role play that stuff out, because we're all us players, we're all honest, upright guys, right? And as characters, we're generally trying to be that way. Even though Runt was a bad guy, he's trying to be a good guy, but he's still trying to keep the bad guy mask on, right? But he's trying to do good stuff behind that mask. And in general, Wes is that way, but there's just weird stuff, things he's not. There's stress put on Wes right now that he has not dealt with before, and so I'm just making these rolls thinking, how's he going to deal with this? How's he going to deal with that? And it was just kind of really interesting role play wise how all of this rolled out. It's still not reconciled, but what's this hope? And there's still the fact of the cask. If we end up trying to sell the cask itself, it's likely that something will come out. So Wes has got to try to have us keep the cask. Obviously, we're going to sell the armor and stuff. And Wes was kind of hoping that maybe the temple itself would buy the armor and then use it to outfit special members of the temple, like they gave the Holy Avenger to Krim. So yeah, we'll see how it happens. What things going on. We're almost hitting 30 minutes. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Happy gaming. And roll your traits and passions.